Rich and Mike Show, Flagler County's hometown sports show. Here are your hosts, Rich Carroll and Mike Licio.
Yes, it's another episode of the Rich and Mike Sports Show. Good Saturday morning, Flagler County. And a good Saturday morning to you, Mike Licio.
Hello, Flagler County. District schedules are underway in football, Rich. You know what that means? We're halfway through the season.
I mean, it seems like at every level of football, the season just flies on by. You know, you look at the NFL. Where are we in the NFL? It's week 4 this week. It's just flying on by. So, and you could say that about the whole end of the year, right? It's before you know it, it'll be October and Halloween, and after that, you're looking straight at December 24th and the new year. So straight ahead we go as the football schedule is in full swing, both on the pro level and the high school level. We had a big game last night, district play opening up. Actually, Matanzas, they opened up on Thursday against Mainland with their district play. And Mike, you had to report on your sports report Friday morning. Matanzas falls to Mainland after competing in the first half. And then we had University at FPC last night, the WNZF game of the week. And, you know, the Bulldogs, they were on a 3-game losing streak and hadn't won a game since the Potato Bowl. But here comes district play. And you really did get a different FPC team last night, Mike.
That team was ready to play last night, and we weren't sure that was going to happen. And real quick, just so I don't forget, because I might forget at some point, I want to thank Mrs. Ashley Forrest for the reason I was able to do a sports report is because she did such a good job of keeping me informed on the Matanzas game while I was at my daughter's game last night. So thank you to Mrs. Forrest for that. But back to the FPC game, because I do want to talk about the Matanzas game in a little bit, of course. FPC came ready to play, and considering I wasn't sure that it would matter if they were ready to play, because when I walked in at 6:05, Sal Campanella Stadium was practically a lake in parts. And then there was water all down the sidelines on both sides. There was water in spots in the end zones. There was water everywhere. And we talked about it on a broadcast. I mentioned it on my Twitter as well. And I said it to him after the game. But Scott Drabzik, the FPC athletic director, getting that field in condition to play in that little time was nothing short of a miracle. Tom Olehan, who works for the school district, also, talked about, he reached out to me to say, both athletic directors in this county do such a great job of maintaining their fields, and they really do, because they're against all odds. FPC, because of all the development, they're having problems with drainage issues, just like St. Augustine High School's having up the road from me. And Matanzas was built on the swampiest, marshiest water in the world. Like, if you spill a Coke and, you've got problems at Matanzas. So the jobs they do, we see it every week that they have great playing fields. But, yeah, the job Scott Drapsick did to get that field ready. You walked in 20 minutes after me, and you walked into a completely different field than I did. I mean, it was just amazing. And then once the game started, FPC was ready to play. And you'll hear from Coach Turner, that first drive, University went right down the field and scored. They had a really good first drive. But after that, it was 38 unanswered from FPC as they pretty much dominated from that point on.
Yeah, it was really a dominating performance from the FPC Bulldogs. And I leave the house and I see all the streets in Palm Coast flooded. There's flooding everywhere. And initially your worry is, well, the lightning delay, that we dealt with a major delay for the Potato Bowl. Took a while. I think kickoff was originally set for 7 o'clock in that game. I don't think they kicked off till about 8:30. And for this one, a relatively short lightning delay. Kickoff was set for 7. Kickoff happened at 7:30. But I leave the house and you just see flooding everywhere, and you start to worry about the field a little bit. And when I got there, it didn't look like the lake you're describing when you got there, but that's because of all the hard work. And as soon as I get there, the first thing you notice is there's Drabzik himself on the field with the blower blowing the water. Everybody's kind of sweeping it away, trying to get the field in the best condition it could possibly be in by game time. And it was in really good position, and we got a really entertaining first quarter there because University came in also losing 3 games in a row. And as you mentioned, they marched right down the field. and score a touchdown on the back of a big play. We saw some big plays from this University team against Matanzas. Matanzas also defeated University earlier this season, but we saw in that game that they had big play potential. And in this game, yeah, you got a big, it was like a 45-yard pass from Mayhew to Maldonado, set them up inside the 10, and they're able to punch it in with the tush push, the University brotherly shove, and they get it in the end zone, and they go up 7-0. And you're wondering to yourself, well, how are the Bulldogs going to respond after that drive? You go down 7-0. You've been struggling, and they responded beautifully. They get the touchdown, then they force a 3-and-out. They score another touchdown, and it was really no looking back from there. So great showing from the Bulldogs, and you brought this up during the broadcast, Mike. It's a huge win because Spruce Creek and DeLand, they were unable to get their district game in last night. So this puts the Bulldogs with their win in sole possession of first place in the district. And after that 3-game losing streak, you weren't necessarily expecting to say that after the game tonight.
They control their own destiny now. So if you don't know, and I'm assuming most of you probably do, but just in case, if you win your district, FPC has 3 district games. If they win their district, it does not matter what the rest of their record is. It doesn't matter where they rank in the rankings for the purposes of qualifying for the playoffs. They are automatically in the playoffs. Now, you want to win some more games so you get a good seed, but realistically, if they win these 3 district games, it doesn't matter what happened in the other 7. They would be a playoff team. So FPC controls their own destiny. They're 1-0. They've got DeLand and then Spruce Creek. DeLand on the 10th, I believe, and then the 24th, they have Spruce Creek. So those are going to be big games. But with that game not being played, and I'm assuming they haven't announced when it'll be replayed, but I'm assuming at this point that it'll be replayed that first week of November, the makeup week, the FHSAA installed. FPC, though, is in the driver's seat. And you're right. The way that they're coming in with a 3-game losing streak, you might not have thought that would be the case, but it is the case. And like I said, essentially for FPC, while the first month of the season wasn't what they hoped it would be, it really doesn't matter at this point, because if they just handle the games in front of them, they will find themselves playing in November.
And we've really had back-to-back bizarre games here with Matanzas a couple of weeks ago before the bye, where they lose that game to the Sand Crabs, and it was a bizarre game. This was a bizarre game last night as well, because there was one sequence in particular where Simmons comes out, right? He takes Ladarius Simmons out of the game, starting quarterback for the Bulldogs, and brings in Bobby Starr, who I think is the 3rd quarterback. Was he the backup? Because we also saw Jason Ebding in this game as well. But Bobby Starr comes in the game. If I remember correctly, it was a 3rd down, and he's trying to complete a slant pass to Nolan Caliendo, who had another amazing game last night. The kid's just having this incredible season, and he's only a sophomore, multi-sport athlete as well, as we've seen him play well for the basketball team, but that's another story. Caliendo looking fantastic last night, and Bobby Starr's looking for him on a little slant, overthrows it. Caliendo gets his hands on it, deflects it. It goes up in the air and falls down into the waiting arms of Brian Gunter, who then, I believe ran for 84 yards and the touchdown. And that was an incredible play, Mike. It's one of those right place, right time. But if you're University, that's a backbreaker right there.
It certainly was. It was. You'll hear Coach Turner talk about that play in just a little bit, but it's like a lot of people have heard the saying. I know my father has always said it to me his entire life. I'd rather be lucky than good. And I talked to Mr. Shell, one of the assistant principals, and he said that's just like you practiced it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and what a play for Bobby Starr, who got some playing time in the Lake Brantley game. FPC's had injuries at quarterback. They've played 4 different quarterbacks this season, and in fact, 6 FPC players have completed a pass and 7 have attempted a pass, including Nolan Caliendo tonight, who made his second pass attempt of the year on another play that you may not have expected, but it was that kind of night. It's your night.
And I wanted to bring that up, Mike, because that was another interesting sequence, right? They run the end around to Caliendo. It's a trick play. He's going to throw the ball, and he's looking for Logan Jacobelli, who is wide open. I mean, the Titans were so fooled by this play. There was nobody near him. Caliendo throws it up, and you're thinking while the ball's in the air, well, the only thing stopping this from being a touchdown is if it's a bad throw or Jacobelli drops it. None of those two things happened. It was a perfect pass from Caliendo. Jacobelli walks into the end zone for the touchdown. Nice, aggressive, fun trick play. Just a perfect timing for that play for Coach Turner. Then on the other side of the field, you had the Titans come out in what was an odd call where they decide to run a trick play of their own, but they're inside their own 20, and they're near the goal line, as a matter of fact. So he hands it off, Mayhew, to the running back. I forget who the running back was at that moment, and he goes out on a pattern. So I couldn't tell initially at first, but then you see, okay, there's the quarterback running out in a pattern. He's going to look for him. This is a trick play, but the Bulldogs were all over it. And as they go to pull the kid down, he just kind of flips it in the air, and a Bulldog comes down with it and scores for the touchdown. It was a shocking call because, to me, if you're going to run a trick play like that, hand the ball off, have the quarterback run out into a pattern, and you're in the red zone. You're looking to score a touchdown on a play like that. So it was a bizarre play call to begin with. The result of it was a touchdown for the Bulldogs. And that sequence from where the perfect timing, the excellent call, the trick play from the Bulldogs led to a touchdown. The Titans run a trick play inside their own 20, and that led to a touchdown for the Bulldogs as well. Just a weird sequence.
Very weird indeed. And you talked about FPC responding to that first drive. They had a 12-play, 80-yard drive. They get a 3-and-out. There's a penalty on the punt. So FPC is in plus territory and it's late in the first quarter. They're in plus territory. It's a 7-7 game. They have a short field. It's first down. That was a great call by Patrick Turner to call that reverse pass. But then they tried the onside kick. They didn't get it. But FPC gets an interception. Kenneth Robinson gets an interception on a short field. So, you start to think that University is probably reeling a little bit. They have the Bobby Starr pass that we talked about. That makes it 21-7. So this becomes a critical possession late in the first half. You're down 21-7. You have 2nd and 5 at your own 16. You have I think there was about 6 minutes left in the half at that point, 5-ish minutes left. So plenty of time for University to go down, get a score, make it 21-14 before the half. And on 2nd and 5, that's the play you call? You call a play like that in the shadow of your own goalpost on a muddy field, I might add. The field, like I said, the field held up really well, but the ball was wet. There's nothing you can do about that. You can get the field dry, but that water didn't all go away. The ball was wet. And you have somebody who has a wet ball in his hands, and it's not somebody who's used to handling the ball in that situation. And it reminded me of actually, excuse me, it reminded me of Pat McAfee talking about to a coach once in Indianapolis, we should fake a punt. We should throw it on a fake punt. And they said, so let me get this straight, Pat. You want us to take the ball out of Peyton Manning's hands on 4th down and have you throw it instead? That's kind of what happened with University. Mayhew had his night went south in a hurry, but he's still the best thrower on the team. Why would you, in that situation, the game is still not out of reach, but once that happened, it was over. It was really over at that point with 2.5 quarters to go. It was just a desperate move. I do want to talk about one other thing, and we talked about this in the broadcast, but it just bothers me. The timekeeping tonight was terrible.
Yeah.
There was 50 seconds that ran off on a touchdown. There was another 15 seconds that ran off on a timeout. So that's 1 minute and 5 seconds. FPC gets the ball down to the 9-yard line with like 6 seconds left, trying to get lined up to spike the ball, and the half ends. It's 28-7. It should have probably been 35-7. FPC should have had about a minute 10 left at that point, and it cost FPC 7 points. Unfortunately, it was in a game that was out of reach, but that is unacceptable.
It's unacceptable for sure, and it seems to be an issue in every game we're doing. Tonight was the worst because, as you mentioned, I mean, a ton of time went up. But it seems like every game that we've broadcasted here on WNZF this season, there is an issue with the timekeeper. So something to keep an eye on. We do our best to be a little loud in the booth to make sure everybody knows it's happening. But it is happening. And yeah, that one sequence, Mike, like 40 seconds ran off the clock.
The touchdown happened at 9:19, and they stopped the clock at 8:28.
That's ridiculous.
And there was a couple times where they miscounted downs.
Yep.
I'm going to go back and watch, I'll be, doing the stats, and I'll go back and watch the game tomorrow. Well, later today, I should say. But there was a couple of series where it was fourth down, and I'm like, I don't remember there being a third down. And then there was another series where they had it as third down. They had this long discussion, then called a timeout, and then they didn't even announce anything or wave anything. The next thing you knew, when everybody came out on the field at the timeout, it took me a second because University's defense was on the field, FPC's offense was on the field. Even though the marker had said third down, they realized that it was actually fourth down. You got to do the basic stuff. Stopping the clock is not a complicated thing. Timekeeping is not a complicated thing. Counting the downs. These are the two easiest things the officiating crew is responsible for. Keeping the time accurately and knowing what down it is. And by the way, funny story about that. I don't want to go back to the Spruce Creek game again for last year, but I keep going back to it. And I probably will.
You'll be going back to that one for years.
It might be my final words on my deathbed. But a couple of years ago, there was a situation similar to that at a game, and the official went and asked the offensive team's coach what down it was, which of course they said it was third down when it was actually fourth. I mean, what's the coach going to say? It's third down. Well, I was following along a game on Twitter, and they said in the tweets, they said, well, there was an issue with the down, so the officials went and asked the clock operator. By the way, the clock operator in football, it's unique because the clock operator in most other sports is a volunteer of some sort. But in football, it's a part of the officiating crew. So I was thinking, why didn't they do that last year? The clock operator is a part of the officiating crew. They are independent of either school. And like I said, it's only in football, but why didn't they ask the clock operator what down is? But knowing some of the clock operators that we experienced, I'm not sure they even know what sport they're doing.
They're not even paying attention to what's going on. No, that's a great point. I just think the officials, the Spruce Creek game, they were so sure of themselves that it wasn't even a question. But yeah, once Coach Fish at the time is yelling at the official, begging for them to do something, you should at least take a look at it or ask a question. None of that was done, and we all know the rest of the story. I really got to go clip that because every time you bring up Spruce Creek, the only thing I remember is the outrage from Mike Licio, and he just he slams on the table and he says, "How does that happen? How does that happen?"
My mouse flew out the window and actually was caught by Hayden Hayes' mom, and I apologize, and she told me I didn't need to, but I not my best moment, I will say that.
So I need to clip that for when the Jets mess up or the Yankees lose a game. Every time I'm going to play, how does that happen? I got to go get that. I got to find it.
I'll send you the clip because there's another clip. We'll talk about the NFL in a little bit, but there's another clip that always applies from my family as well with the Jets and Dolphins, who are about to have the worst game in history in Monday Night Football.
Well, that's how you know you're in the middle of the football season, right? What was the game we had last week? It was that Baltimore Detroit? Who was the Monday night game? It was a really good one this past week. But you know you're in the middle of the season when you get the 0-3 Dolphins and the 0-3 Jets on Monday Night Football, which for most people is such a snore of a game. And for us, we will torture ourselves with it. So, we got the NFL picks coming up here on the Rich and Mike Sports Show in a little bit. How about before we go to that, Mike? How about a couple of words there? Well, actually, let's hear from the coach. Set up your interview with Coach Turner after the game.
So Brent Warnoff and I, the great reporter from The Observer, caught up with Coach Turner to get his thoughts on his first win at FPC in Sal Campanella Stadium.
It's better be lucky than good, and we got lucky a couple times tonight. But the kids came out jacked and excited, and they played with a lot of passion tonight. A lot of, defense was great. I mean, they came out and stuck one on us on the first drive, but other than that, man, we were lights out on defense. And when you do that, you give yourself opportunities to score, get the ball back for the offense, and we were able to find end zone several times tonight. And we played a little bit more aggressive because we needed it. Our reverse pass followed up by an onside kick, and that was kind of the plan. If we do that and we didn't get it, and we went for it when we probably should have kicked the field goal down here, but then our interception pick six to the D line. Yeah, so it came back to us, but like I said, when you play with passion and play to win, good things usually happen. And we still had penalties. We still got things we got to clean up. But super excited about the effort from the boys tonight.
Well, go ahead, man.
It's probably cool to see the reverse pass first snap, but also I want to ask you about your reaction to the weird play that Gunter ended up in his hands.
Yeah, so we called, Hitch's ball was thrown to Nolan. Went through his hands, went through a defender's hands, and Brian was right where he needed to be. And the rest is history. Did a great job of getting vertical and getting the end zone.
Just
Go
like
back
you
to
drew
reverse
up.
pass.
Yeah, just like we drew it up.
Well, the reverse pass, that was just like you drew up.
We actually practiced that one.
Now, did you have to make an adjustment on defense after that first drive, or was it just the defense?
No, they just settled down. And, they did exactly what we said they were going to do all week long. We just didn't. Our fits were a little loose, and once they settled in and saw the things that we showed them all week long, defense and the coaching staff did a great job of tightening things down more and making adjustments.
District schedule, the records go out the window. You're 1-0. You control your own destiny. How important was it to get the win like that tonight?
Absolutely. Anything can happen. We got Fletcher next week. They're a really good opponent, but they're not district, like you said. Then followed up, then we'll get into district with Spruce Creek and DeLand. And like you said, anything can happen.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
There he is, Coach Patrick Turner. Gets his first victory at Sal Campanella, right? Potato Bowl was at the Ship, Mike.
Correct.
Year. So his first victory as the head coach of the Bulldogs, first home victory. Congratulations. And he had his team ready tonight. Maybe you weren't thinking that when they go down 7-0, but like the coach said, defense settled down after that, and you had a 38 unanswered points. So I'm sure the coach was very pleased.
They only allowed 95 yards after that initial drive of 67 yards in the game. He said it. You heard him say it at the beginning. They had a little luck. You might call that Cal's Wern interception in the end zone a little bit of luck. Obviously, the play to Gunter was a little bit of luck, but that happens sometimes. And luck is the residue of preparation. Is that what the saying is? And they were prepared. They had almost 500 yards of offense last night, and a lot of it involved one guy in particular, Nolan Caliendo, 8 catches, 115 yards. He had 9 yards rushing, and he threw a 45-yard touchdown pass. So let's hear from Nolan Caliendo after a very big night. Nolan, you did a little of everything tonight. You ran the ball. You had 8 catches. You threw a touchdown pass. How's it feel to be the guy that can be the Swiss Army knife for the team?
Well, it's just, we got to work on a couple areas, but I really like just getting involved, like having other players, like just throwing tutties, just like everyone getting the ball. I just like how we all spread the ball today. It was really good. We had good connections. We worked good.
Take us through that touchdown pass.
We ran a couple of times in practice, and then we just ran the jet sweep, and then it was wide open. I gave him a little bit of a bad ball, but he still got it, and no one could catch him. So once he got the ball, it was off to.
How important is it to start off the district part of the schedule with a win like this?
It's good. Just take it a game at a time, or week after week. Just film, making sure staying on top. So.
And this was a complete game by the team. After 3 weeks, the last three games, how's it feel to bounce back?
It's good. Good to get that dub in. What?
Oh, there he is, the big star, Nolan Caliendo. A lot of fun to watch, having a great season. The FPC Bulldogs, they snapped the 3-game losing streak. They defeat University last night, 38-7. Next up for WNZF, Matanzas Mount Dora next week. Our NFL football picks after this.
Thank you so much for recommending us to your family and friends. When you need a 30, 60, or 90-minute massage, it's real easy to book your appointment online. MassageByNatalie.org. MassageByNatalie.org.
Get ready. Monday Night Football is coming to Everbank Stadium October 6th. And this is a matchup you won't want to miss. Your Jacksonville Jaguars are throwing it back in their Prowler jersey as they take on the Kansas City Chiefs under the primetime lights. Don't wait. Be a part of the action. Get your tickets now by visiting us online at jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We can't wait to see you at the bank for primetime football.
Rich and Mike Sports Show on a Saturday morning. Mike, speaking about bizarre, how about that? I think toward the end of the 1 o'clock games last Sunday, you had 4 blocked field goals in a matter of 10 minutes. It was amazing.
Including one of our foes, the Jalen Carter, who has cost us some high school football misery. If you don't remember, he had 3 sacks and blocked 2 kicks against FPC in a playoff game when he was in high school. Jordan Davis, the former Georgia Bulldog great. And how excited, Rich, I was pretty excited when the Jets blocked their field goal. I don't know if I was excited. Maybe Rich Carroll was more excited than me, but Aaron Glenn was more excited than both of us.
I'm going to try to learn those moves, but it definitely made me jump out of my seat for sure. But then you see there's 2 minutes left and you knew what was going to happen, and that's exactly what happened. Baker Mayfield marched the Bucs right down the field easily, and they won on the field goal. So and the Eagle game, that one, that actually made me lose my one game of the week on that field goal block against the Rams and the return for the touchdown. So I was 2-1 last week. You were 2-1. I'm 6-3 on the season. You are 3-6, but still plenty of time to get back in it. Not a lot of time left, about 90 seconds. So here I go. I'm going to take the Eagles -3.5 over Tampa Bay. I know Tampa Bay has been the thorn in the side of the Eagles in recent memory, but I think it's different now. I think the Eagles will win that game easily. Eagles -3.5. Green Bay -6.5 over Dallas, bouncing back off of that big Browns loss, and Dallas defense stinks. Baltimore -2.5 over KC. I don't understand why people are picking KC in this game. The only team they've been able to beat this year is the Giants, and they stink as well. So Eagles -3.5 over Tampa Bay, Green Bay -6.5 over Dallas, and Baltimore -2.5 over KC.
You and I and the Magic 8 Ball all like Green Bay in that game. I like the Chargers -6.5. I like Cleveland +10.5 against Detroit. That was my big risk. And the 8 Ball likes in the Monday night games, they like the Dolphins -2.5 and Denver -7.5.
My, oh my. Yeah. I was shocked, really shocked when the Jets get that blocked field goal and they're on their way to the end zone. But like I said, we knew what was going to happen. How about real quick here? You got about 30 seconds, Mike. Jackson Dart starting for the Giants. You like it? You hate it? What do you think?
Well, I said it about before the preseason that I thought he'd start by November 1st, and then I told everybody on this show on week 1 that he would start by October 1st. So I like being right, but I would have held him out till next week against New Orleans. I don't think I would have sent him against that Charger defense.
Yeah, I would have held him out till next year when the new coach and the new GM comes in. But, the Giants operate a lot like the Jets these days, and feels a lot like the Jets ruining Sam Darnold a few years ago. We'll see what happens. Good luck to the Giants. Yankees, 1 more win, 2 more wins, whatever it takes. Take the division from the Blue Jays. Have a great weekend, Flagler County.